Hello again everybody and a very warm welcome back to the channel. Today we are taking a look at episode 1, Cold and Dark, through to engine start in the JustFlight RJ Professional for Microsoft Flight Simulator. So a very warm welcome on board to all of you. We're loading at the moment thanks to GSX in our beautiful Jersey registered livery for Osprey Regional, our virtual airline. Check it out, britishavgeek.com for all the information if you do want to join our VA. It's pretty cool and growing all the time. And over the next couple of episodes we're going to operate this aircraft, the RJ100. Fantastic add-on from JustFlight, the links for which if you do want to purchase it will be in the description down below. On a flight up to Jersey in live time, live weather as I record it, and the UK is currently blanketed in heavy cloud, snow, some rain, some sleet depending on where you are, so it's going to be quite an interesting one. And the METAR for Birmingham that we'll see later will show you that we're in for a little bit of a potential challenge for the arrival. Flight time of about 1 hour. We're going to let GSX do its thing and we're going to focus on getting the systems online in the flight deck. So as always, if you do enjoy the video, hit like, hit subscribe. We're going to head into the flight deck and take our seats. And as you can see at the moment, we're cold and dark, but I've gone into the EFB and I've selected ground power, opened all the doors and the stairs for the GSX loading, and we're going to go to OFP and make sure that you've got your simbrief username configured like so. What you're then going to need to do is take the route down in the description. You can see it there as well if you wanted to pause it. Jersey, runway 26, flying to Birmingham, runway 33. Naturally, if you're flying this with live weather when you give it a go, then the runways that are operational might be slightly different. But go ahead and configure your flight plan. You can see our routing like that. And I'm going to do kind of the pure way, putting it into the FMC without using the .root file. But you can go to downloads and you can download the JustFlight 146 root file there. It downloads a .rte file which you can drag into the work folder of this aircraft. It's quite archaic, I'm not going to go into that, so we're going to do it the old school proper way if you like. And because these are regional aircraft, it doesn't take too long, as you're about to see. So boarding's in progress. Make sure your simbrief username is input and press continue. It's going to then load in that route that we've just spoke about from simbrief. And we can have a look at those METARs, and like we were saying earlier, at the moment Birmingham looked light, snow overcast 300 feet, no spread at all on the temperature versus dew point, and QNH 909 hectopascals. Jersey's not great either, winds 270 at 21, gusting 32 with vicinity showers, low cloud as well. So, bit of a challenging one for today. The wind in Birmingham, thankfully, is a bit more forgiving. Press the little home button. And you can set this up as you wish, basically, so you can spend a little bit of time flicking through your Navigraph integration to make sure that's connected to your Navigraph system if you wish. And in aircraft, now we've imported the flight plan, we can import the OFP like so. Now if you're using simbrief, or GSX handling, sorry, you want to go to the settings cog and select that button there if you want the EFB to sync with the loading of GSX. Now I've left it separate because I find that's a bit easier. Again, you can work through all of these options to create your own custom setup based on your own preference. So we're going to go to the refuel button there. We can just leave that on instant. You can put it on realistic if you wish. We're going to press that. And in it goes. We should have 4448 kilograms, and you can see on the bottom right total fuel weight 4448 kilos. Then we're going to press the payload button for the boarding, and again that's instant with stairs, and I'm just going to press the button there.
Boarding is complete.
There you go. So now automatically we've kicked in the stairs and all the doors being closed up. Happy days. So we've got ground power chocks. So we can forget about that for now. And once you've got the rest of this nailed, you'll be able to maybe kind of work the boarding whilst you're dealing with all of this. But I wanted to just get that bit out of the way so we can focus on the systems next. So those of you with the 146, you'll notice quite a few lovely similarities with this. Not least the design of the flight deck is quite similar. What we're going to go and do is turn the batteries on. We're going to connect that ground power because we've got the GPU connected down there by the first officer's window. So we're going to go battery 1 on, battery 2 on, and with that completed, what we can now do is go external AC. You can see there AC power is available. We're going to press that switch down to the on position, and the aircraft's come alive. Bus tyres are on auto already, standby inverter and generators are unarmed, and everything else is basically as it is from initial power up. Now because the weather's pretty awful, we pop the logo lights on at the top right, we can pop the nav lights on as well, and we can go no smoking signs automatic, cabin emergency lights automatic or armed. On the top left, yaw damper on, master on, FGC select will leave on 1, autopilot 1 and 2 masters on, avionics 1 and 2 masters on, ground ignition on both, brake fans automatic, anti-skid on, auto spoiler it's on, and lift spoilers yellow and green on. Now they've included a really nice manual with this, and it's worth you kind of diving into it to learn the specific flows of everything required. What this is going to do is just get you in a position that you can comfortably fly from A to B to begin your learning of the aircraft. Lighting for the panel is up here, so we can go ahead and set that up as required, and we might need a little bit of backlighting because of the weather being so murky outside. We can set that up like so, and it looks pretty good, doesn't it? And then the same for the lower pedestals. We can go ahead and turn those all up like that. We can pop a little bit of console flood on. Similarly for the first officer's area as well, we can pop those panel lights on like so for both pilots. Now we're at the first officer's side. While we're here, let's keep it simple. We're going to just go straight to nav for the IRS 1 and 2, and we're going to leave that there for now because we need to align the IRS. We'll do that in a wee moment. So we're also now going to turn the ice detection system on, and we're going to pop the screen heating on. And the flight deck emergency lights go to arm. And now we can kind of turn our attention to the FMC before we think about APUs and all the rest of it. So have a look at your FMC. They're split FMC, so you can use them both independently, which is pretty cool. We're going to focus on the captain's side for today. So what we're going to do is press that first ident page, POS in it. We're going to go last position, select that. We're going to paste it in the box there. And if we've got a gate number, today we're at gate number 8, we can go ahead and pop that in as well, and depending on the scenery it might recognise, might not. With that done, we're going to go to routes, and as you can see at the moment we don't have anything, so we're going to do this, as we said at the start, in that purist sense. So if you've got your simbrief flight plan open on another screen, now's the time to bring it up. Failing that, you can use the OFP up here and you can have a little look at your route string. But we're going to go origin EGJJ for Jersey to Echo Golf Bravo Bravo for Birmingham. We are going to be operating the Osprey 165 flight today. That's our flight number. And then we're going to go to initial kind of transition out of the SID BENIX. So that's gone in. Then we're going to take the Golf 27 airway to AKIKI. So we're going to go Golf 27 in the Vias side now, the left lower key. And then 2, that's going to be following direct to BENIX. And then from BENIX on the Golf 27 airway to AKIKI. Make sure you spell all this right, folks. Otherwise you might make an error and your waypoint might be further than you think. From AKIKI, Uniform Mike 189. to EPATI. And then uniform Mike 184 to HEMEL. And that is then the entry into our star. We're going to be flying the HEMEL 1 Bravo. So that's done, we can activate that, and then it gives us the prompt to enter the performance init data. Press execute because it's gone green there. And then we can go across to the perf init page. We'll press clear on the message. And we need to take the data now from the EFB. So we're going to go back to the aircraft tab. I mean, you can see there gross weight. I'm going to grab my pen. 38.9. I'll round it up. Fuel 4.4. I'd rather go down on that so we get the lower kind of weights if need be. Central gravity 29.6. We'll see if that's enough data. So there we go. Go gross weights 38.9. Gives us the zero fuel weight 34.5. And then the reserves, that's in our flight plan. For that we can have a quick look. I'll show you guys on the screen now. At our briefing preview on simbrief, if you're using a browser, you can scroll down to the FinRes plus alternate 1.643, or rounded up 1.7. So that could go in like so. Our cruising altitude we need to put in next. We're going to go for flight level 220, pop that in the box like so. And then cruise winds, again that's on our briefing preview. You'll find that on the top right for average wind, and in our case today it's 278/79. ISO deviations -4. And the transition altitude here in Jersey 5,000 feet. We can go ahead and amend that accordingly. So again, we execute the changes that we've made, and we can go back to index. We can have a little look at all of this stuff. So ident, work through that, boss init page. Two pages of routes, nice and simple there. And in the legs page, that's replicated like so. In the VNAV page, we can see our climb, cruise profile, and our estimated descent paths. So we can go to departures and arrivals. Departures out of Jersey, runway 26, and it's got a 6-knot crosswind, the mean winds, and a 19-knot headwind today. So runway 26 and the BENIX 5 Alpha departure at the top are the ones we want to select. We can execute that. Press departure arrivals again because it's a nice short route. We're going to focus on Birmingham next. We're going to go on to ILS 33. Transition CF33 because we're going direct to final, and the HEMEL 1 Bravo. Execute. And it'll make more sense as we get closer in the later episodes while we've done that as well. So that is our route complete. All of the data ready to go. Next up, comms. So we're going to just slide on back a little bit. And you'll notice we haven't got any of the CRT screens on at the moment. Well, make a sense as to why, but we're going to look at the comms just momentarily, and we're going to select whatever frequencies you might be using. So for example, on Unicom it's 122.8. If we had tower or anything, then we would use that accordingly as well. And you can go ahead and you could also set your transponder. And this is quite interesting because depending on the range and everything, as you depart and you go, so, you sort of go faster and higher, you might want to increase that range ring, and that there is your range for your transponder. So if you have that on 6 throughout the entire flight, you're only going to get a 6-mile range on the transponder for things like TCAS. So it's something worth keeping an eye on. And again, your mode selector there is threat only display, all, above or below, like so. So you can set that up as you deem fit effectively. Right, those nice CRT displays. Down here, in front of the yoke, on each side, you have master switches. You've got EFIS Master 1, we want to flick that on. EFIS Master 2, we can flick that on as well. After a few minutes, that will kind of sort itself out, and we can see our initial route string and everything in there as well. And go ahead and set your QNH. You want to make sure you've caged the standby instruments accordingly as well, and that the standby instruments match that of the main displays. And then we can look at things like the charts. So let's dive into our departure then for today. We're at stand 8, so push start facing the only direction, west on Juliet, and then we're going to taxi all the way around the terminal down to Alpha to that hold point at Alpha 1, lining up for that full length short runway departure here at Jersey, 1,705 metres, runway 26. After departure, it's going to be quite a quick left turn on the 5 Alpha, working out to waypoint perch. So we might actually hand fly that first bit, because that might be smoother and easier for us, up to an initial altitude of 5,000 feet. So with that, looking at the MCP, it's very similar to a Boeing 737, sort of old school sort of flight management system set up here for the autopilot. As you can probably notice, we can set that initial altitude of 5,000. We also want runway heading of 263 set up. So for the heading knob, we're going to make sure we've set 263. And then we've got things like speed, course, and all the rest of it. We've got the Jersey VOR of 112.2, so we can go ahead and pop that onto the VHF nav 1, just as a reference point, and switch that across. We can pop it on as well if we want to. And if we set the radial of 144, as you can see on the charts, that is going to give us the waypoint to perch. So when we reach 7 DME on that radial, we will be a waypoint perch. And we're going to set that just more so as a backup than anything else. But we shouldn't really need it. From there, working up through Lucet and BENIX, passing Cherbourg, going a little bit of French airspace, tickling over that little corner there, up to EPATI, back over the channel, kind of passing west of Goodwood, routing over London, so we might see a bit of Heathrow, and then from Hemel Hempstead working down to Birmingham. And we'll speak about the rest of that as we get airborne. So speeds, with all of our weights, like the 146, this flat placard here updates based on our gross weight. Now this aircraft, the RJ100 and the 85, its kind of brother jet, can use flat 33 departures. It's rated for that, and we're going to use that today because of the super short runway. So we're going to go ahead and press 33, and that sets a V1 at 107, as you can see there, the V speed set, and a V2 of 112. We've also got digitized pressurization panel, so currently we're at 303 MSL, and you can see there on the pressurization panel that that matches. So we're at a state now that we can start the APU, because we're almost ready to depart. Because we're going to have it on for a short period of time, we'll just keep things simple for the purposes of today. We're going to turn all of the pumps on, make sure the crossfeed and all that kind of stuff is shut. Galley's on shed, APU start. So fuel valve, all pressure starts to flash. We can also set up any other lights that we want to set up. Use a bit of time on the ground here to get the aircraft configured so we have less work to do on the departure. And make sure as well you've got your throttles on idle, but you've also similarly got a toga keybind set. So you can just press that button rather than having to reach all the way around physically clicking the 2 kind of click spots there, and that you've got control of all 4 throttles. Just going to get rid of that for a moment. We can go ahead and pop the flight directives on. So captain's side first, then the first officer's side, and we've also got now an IAS MAC of 112 sets, which is the V2 speed. Because we've clicked the placard, it's automatically set that for us. We can warm up the Sperry weather radar, and we can make sure all of our nav data, all of our comms are ready for any departure that we are about to go and do. So we've got 5,263, 112, that radial of 144 from the Jersey VOR, and we're going to leave the TRP on Toga Max. And in fact, if we want to kind of just be a bit safe, what we can also do is go to simbrief's performance and tools, populate from last flight. We're going to pop that on meters, hectopascals. We're going to disable enabled improved climb, and you can see there what it's recommending. So actually it's saying flap 18 Toga Max will be sufficient with engine bleeds on, or bleed on, anti-ice off. Rotate there about halfway up the runway by the looks of it, so that looks pretty good. So with that in mind, we're going to use that actually as the plan for today. So we're going to click flap 18. That should now change. Look, IAS MAC 136 for the V2. Toga Max, we'll leave that on. So we've got a rotate of 129. You can see there the V1 of 130 selected as well. So that's kind of how to change that on a whim if you need to. If you need to recalculate anything for any reason. Make sure FMC2's on legs. And using the kind of selectors down here, you absolutely want to make sure the mode down here is set to LNAV. And then you've got the format range rings and all that kind of stuff set up as you wish as well. So I can highly recommend keeping it on map and then selecting maybe 10 or 20 depending on what you're doing, and bearing. Setting that to waypoint, so you get the green needle indicating the direction to the next kind of waypoint, and that's going to help us on our departure if we're hand flying as well. Pretty nifty. APU is online now, we've got that green light, so we can go APU generators on, and actually you can have a little look using the display like so. Make sure the AC and DC pumps are on, and down here APU air needs to go on as well. We can leave the packs on if we want to, but because now we're going to go straight into pushback, prepare for pushback and departure, we're going to leave those off because our departure is basically imminent. Now before we begin the pushback sequence, we want to make sure the engine anti-ice systems across all 4 engines are switched on. Seatbelt signs are 100% on, might have forgot that earlier, whoopsie. And then we go to beacon lights on. And I think I've turned the PTO off there, so I've just clicked that back on again. And we're waiting on the turnaround manager, the dispatcher, to give us the indications. Come off external power. Ground power off. Make sure the parking brake is on, it's pulled. And once that goes off, it's just going through a disconnection simulation at the moment. There we go. We can remove the chocks. That then locks the rest of the panel, and we can leave that on OFP. Now, we don't really need that for the departure, so going to press the little placard down here. It says for magnetic course. That hides the EFB, which is pretty cool. And we're going to just go to standard pushback with our custom profile, and I hope it's got it set up correctly. And then we move on to engine start.
Release parking brakes, please.
Park brakes off.
Commencing push. All engines clear.
And we focus back on the overhead panel. We're going to go to engine 1 first. Start master on. We'll pop the continuous ignition on. APU air is on. Packs are off. Engine 1 start. So we begin to see the fuel flow increase, the N2 start to increase, the EGT will start to kind of rise as the engine fires up later in the sequence, and you can see the M1 beginning to come up as well. As the N2 reaches kind of where it is now, around sort of 20, unlock the throttle detent into the idle position. That's then the similar kind of thing of putting the fuel control lever to the run position, and we monitor the engine start. We're now throwing fuel in, hence that fuel flow beginning to increase as well. And the engine start sequence is pretty quick on this. We've got 4 engines to start, so we'll kind of do one after the other, working from left to right, nice and simple.
Please set parking brakes.
Parking brakes set. And you can see there already engine 1 is on. So engine 2, start. And we'll follow the same sequence across all 4 engines. So we're on engine 3 at the moment. We can also start to pop generator 1 online. That's linked to engine 1. And we can have a look and turn engine 2 pump on as well. Continuing that startup sequence. As we get engine 3 online and that becomes stable, we will also then look up in the overhead panel, turn engine 3 pump on. And at the end of the start sequence for engine 4, we will look down here and turn Gen 4 on. Okay, that's all for 4 engines on then. So Gen 1's on, engine 2 pump on, engine 3 pumps on, engine 4's generator is now online as well. We can pop the engine selector to off and the start master off, and that then turns the generators online. Now we need to keep the APU running for the departure. We're going to therefore leave APU air on, and that's therefore going to power the air conditioning. So cabin air recirc, packs 1 and 2 on. Engine air off. Engine anti-ice off. Outer wing, inner wing, tail anti-ice off, and we double check to make sure ice detection is switched on as well. I'm going to put the wing lights on for taxi and things, especially with the snow and everything in the area at the moment, so we want to battle any potential icing. And that's the overhead panel pretty much set up for our departure. We won't worry about the rest of it. We're going to put galley online as well for the galley power. Flight control surfaces, go ahead and make sure that you've got all of that nailed as well, so fully left, fully right, checking the deflections. And while that's happening, we're going to select flap 18. And we'll do rudder. All feeling pretty good. That's closed. Rudder trim is reset and 0. Nose trim, super important. We're going to go back to that placard, click the icon there to bring the EFB back up, go to aircraft, and then we're going to press CG. So the current value is there, pretty much at 4. We press that again. It's just dropped below 4, but that means that we've now got the correct takeoff centre of gravity set for our takeoff trim. Very important we do that. And you can see there on our kind of warning panel, everything except for parking brakes is now off. Flaps 18, that's set solid, so we can press config check, and then that's going to give us a horn because the parking brake is off. We release that, press it again, you can hear we don't have a config warning anymore. So, landing lights on. And that's the end of episode 1, folks. Cold and dark, through to engine start in the mighty Avro RJ. From JustFlight, the RJ professional for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Hit like, hit subscribe, share your thoughts, tips, tricks in the comments below. And join us for the next episode, episode 2, as we continue this rather cloudy journey to Birmingham. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'll see you next time. Take care.